Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jesse Jackson III, best-selling author and facilitator of the Don't Kick 'em Out book and training series, and the lead advisor and consultant here at the Best Man Company, LLC. Our company is developed and its infrastructure is to provide the proper guidance to supporting and helping the at-risk student to academically thrive, socially thrive. One of the things that we've been able to do that I'm very proud of is that we provide answers for a lot of schools that things like PBIS has not worked, restorative practices have not worked. Those are some very, can be mainstream ideals and approaches. They are effective. I have seen them work even in many trauma zone environments that I work in. So it absolutely does work, but it is so much predicated on the development and the personality of the leader, willingness to be consistent, willingness to not be manipulated, willingness to confront. So the reason our program has had the success it has had, and I've been around 17 years and I'm at the top of my game, I'm actually becoming more relevant as time goes on. My ideas are much more well received now is because I understood that when you're dealing with things like relationships, personal behavior, and dealing with toxic environments, toxic behavior, defiance, it requires the ability and willingness to confront. You got to have courage. So you're asking people to do things that's not in their natural wheelhouse. And you're wondering why the model doesn't work. Well, the model is not the problem. The model is based on what we call best case scenario, meaning we would expect that everybody has confidence and they don't. We would expect that everyone understands the need to confront certain behavior and they just don't. We would assume that people are good at communication. They're not. You can't tell an adult who's really struggling with relationships, personal ones, to go build relationships with a child. It doesn't, that's why it looks so awkward. You got some that overdo it, some that don't even try, some that underdo it and it looks weird. That's what I'm talking about. So we've got to help the teacher to start understanding some fundamental basics, and there must be help in the issue of behavior. So one of the first things that I have done and really committed myself the next 5 years is I have to go spend time with individual campuses. A lot of times districts, and you can do this, but you want to bring all of the principals together. I do believe that's a good first step, but this is what I've seen. This is not what I think. I have seen that there is a lot of times a huge disconnect between central office and the building principals on the issue of behavior. I mean, that's been a consistent pattern for a decade where the principals feel like central office is kind of going against them. And I've seen it. I mean, I saw it last week. And this is somebody who, I mean, was the district's #1 guy a year ago. And now he's on the hot rocks. Central office is like, he follow throughs with nothing. Jackson, he's your guy. And this guy doesn't listen and and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But that's the disconnect I'm talking about. So I would ask you, Superintendent, where are you in terms of being on the same page with your central office and your principals? That is the #1 thing that I have seen as a major disconnect. Central office and the principals, different philosophies on it, right? And the support not there. The reason we don't use the word support is because support means different things to different people. So whenever you use that word, you can get in a lot of weirdness with it because support is subjective and that's up to the eyes of the person who sees it. So the thing that we've got to see that has to happen, the way that you actually help the building principal, or the way the building principal really helps themselves, is start understanding what I call our major pillars of school-wide discipline success. I'll give you 3 right now. #1 is checking the policy. Is the policy consistent with what is going on in the community? So if you have a violent community and you have a gang-infested community, it is imperative that you have to have a no fighting policy. It has to be zero tolerance. If you let that school become a place where kids can fight, you're done as a soup. They're going to get you out of there because it's one thing that they do not, that we can't ever allow. You can't ever be seen as soft on the crime of physical violence. So if you create an environment where people get hurt, I can tell you right now, the board will turn on you every time and fire you 100% of every time, right? You start seeing the tickler and all these fight videos start getting published, or you're a principal and you're the fight club over at the high school. I'm telling you what's going to happen, right? And I'm seeing this happen because the perception is reality and it's unacceptable. Violence is unacceptable on a school campus. People are getting killed. These fight clubs breaking out. You got to have a hard, heavy hand on the matter. It's a no-fly zone, unacceptable, right? So the policy has to support that. That's why you're seeing a lot of superintendents going to the one and done. We're not going to play with you. You can't do it. Right. If you can't do it here, you got to go to a permanent home program, or you got to go to our alternative school or alternative program. It's just the way it is. Now, everything else, you can see where we're working with you. You know, you're having a bad day. You got a potty mouth, defiance. Your attitude is bad. We're going to work with you. But now notice this, when you see how I start to break behavior down, there's certain behaviors you got to approach it a certain way, because if you mismanage it, you will unleash havoc and poison on your campus. This is why I always say it becomes imperative to where a principal knows whether the streets has entered your campus, okay? Meaning when you see aggression, anybody can tell you, particularly at the high school level, the overwhelming majority of the fight mess is coming from the streets, social media in the neighborhood. So that means social media has become a portal to bring the streets to your neighborhood, and the parents come with them. You've got to know that. And this is why a lot of times in my training, I spend a lot of time breaking down what I call is increasing your street IQ. If your school is located in a trauma zone where street activity, that means shootings on the weekend, shootings during the week, they're trying to jump people in the neighborhood, gang fighting, and the fighting on your campus is escalated to where it's turning into group fighting, people planning fights in the bathroom, the phones is out, jumping people on the bus, the streets is coming to your school, sticking people up, pistols on campus, the street element has come to your campus. So that means you as a schoolhouse, as a campus, gotta recognize that. We are not in a place where this is not a la-la land. One lady said to me, she said, Dr. Jackson, I was born in Mayberry. You're not in Mayberry. Mayberry is not real. This is real situations. And I could say in the places I have been this year alone, and you're talking about New York, New Jersey, always Detroit, always Chicago, California, Southern and Northern. Where is that place? In Tennessee, Memphis, parts of Alabama. I forget that part I was in. They're having some serious issues down there, okay? In Nevada, serious issues down there. In Georgia, in Atlanta, some serious issues, and they need help. Well, the first thing that comes when we start rolling these things out, we got to look at our policy. Is our policy helping us or hurting us? Right? Somebody said from me in California, they said, when you say, and I said, a lot of times you got to modify a lot of your program to make sure that it's actually meeting what's going on. You can't tell a person they have 3 fights in high school. That's foolishness, because you're inviting them to fight 3 times. You don't do that. And we talk more about that in training. I'm talking about at length and good clarity. Number 2, program structure. That means, are you getting the support of your staff? Is the staff helping you to implement policy? A lot of times when you see fight clubs, the staff is not helping us. A lot of times you see a lot of referrals, the staff is not helping us. And one thing that we need to understand, we often make this statement that says, the teacher is the administrator in their classroom. Let me tell you something about teachers. First of all, I'm a teacher advocate, always will be. I'll stand up for teachers forever. Now, that's why teachers let me check them. That's why I get the results I get with teachers, because I always stand up for teachers, right? Always, always. But I got to get on them. So here's the thing, but this is not a get on them case. We got a lot of teachers that just like to be told what to do. See, so when you say, okay, I'm the administrator of my classroom, that causes them to start thinking and not wanting to make a mistake and check boxes and things like that. And so now when you start getting referrals for stuff that you know is egregious, you'll be like, why did they do that? Well, they'll say you told them. So I don't knock these type of people because I am a person personally also that really does prefer to have instructions, but you got to understand everybody is not wired a way to personally administrate their own environment. There's some people that's been around this, grew up around it. They know how to navigate the environment. They have control of the environment. There are people who do not know. And I have never met a teacher who wants to do a bad job. I've never met a teacher that wants to do that. You got to start understanding the teacher culture, the teacher mentality. And that's what I'm talking about, program structure. How are you training your teachers? Are you getting your teachers the help they need? The average school that those streets have come in there, we're not getting the teachers the help we need. You know, and once those kids start cursing teachers out, using profanity at teachers, you got a problem and you lost. You lost your school. You lost respect because your teachers, like the kids, could just cuss us out and there's no consequence. If you let that happen as a principal, I can tell you right now, your credibility is out. And see, one thing that I've stayed true to, okay, we got a no suspension policy, right? So when you look at this book here, and I like to take responsibility for the suspension ban. Y'all can blame me. Why did I do it? Why did I have to start introducing this? That suspension is no longer an option, right? Because it's not. However, if you read any book, don't kick them out or suspension is no longer an option. I told you the reasons the kid has to go home. So y'all ain't read my stuff if you got me messed up. Because I never said don't kick a kid out because they black, white, or brown. That's foolishness. What I said was a lot of that stuff has to stop because I'm reading a referral. I'm reading what the teacher said. I just can't deal with them today. She wrote that down. What? No, man. No. We got to understand. So when I see teachers that don't know, that means training. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why things like PBIS and restorative practices does not automatically work because it still requires a degree of social IQ to understand how to implement. I mean, if you don't get it, I mean, PBIS can be manipulated, but not the system itself, the person administering it. We got people using it as a reward system or a manipulation or a control system. We got people using restorative practices and they're being manipulated. Like they just listen to anything the kid says. Man, you can't restore no justice after you did 8 guys then jumped on a guy. You about to bring a family in here to discuss what made you mad about it. You're about to start another riot. Like, where are y'all from? Did you think that makes sense? Come on, man. That's what Jesse means. And that's where training is so vital. You can't get away from training. We're trying to get away from training and go to in-services and we want to put all of this additional time in other things. We can't do that. And you are your training program. And if you don't get that, I feel for you. And number 3 is teamwork, getting the adults to work together. We can't win unless everybody approaches behavior as a very serious team and unit. It's the best I have today. I'm Dr. Jackson. If you know I can help you, give me a call. I'll see you in class.